enjoy the hard work. Like being excited about something is different than having like a passion for it, because excitement burns out the moment when you hit difficulties. Passion doesn't burn out.
Hey guys, welcome to the Up Next podcast, where we are interviewing teen entrepreneurs that are making it big time in the startup world. We are asking the questions we know you want to hear. Up Next is an app made for teens where anyone can join or build a real life startup.
Today is Neil Mitra, 16-year-old entrepreneur from Canada, and he founded EyeCane and Mitra Biotechnologies. EyeCane aims to improve the navigation for the visual impaired using a novel paired patent technology.
How did you find yourself creating such a business? What sparked the idea?
Yeah, so back when I was in grade 7, I started doing science fair, and that was my first experience in terms of like meeting others and stuff like that. Invented our first version of the EyeCane prototype. Actually, it was essentially using thermoplastic paint lines and essentially infrared sensors to follow these thermoplastic paint lines and have a cane attached to that robot. That was pretty much our initial version, and that was EyeCane 1.0. And I pretty much presented that at the Canada-wide science fair.
Who do you consider your first mentor? What did they help you go through?
Actually, NasJack. His name is @NasJack. You can see him on Twitter or on TikTok. And he mostly does hard tech investing. Since myself being a huge fan of hard tech and biotech, he's advised me on a lot of different aspects, and I'm truly indebted to him for truly being a great mentor. To me, and yeah, he's an overall great person, and he's quite an intelligent individual as well. So yeah.
How much money was needed to build your first version?
Yeah, so a lot of that was majority self-funded, so mostly through science fair winning. So like mostly science fair money that I got from winning various fairs. Getting medals and so forth, and of course, like the very initial one came from my parents, like the initial $100 to get me some.
How did you get those first users, customers to come aboard? What was that like?
Yeah, so I guess when it comes to Mitra Biotechnologies, it's still heavily in the R&D phase. We still have to go through FDA clinical trials and stuff before we can actually sell our device on the market. So it's definitely like a 5-year road ahead of us at the minimum. But for EyeCane, one of the biggest things was that we used the Canadian National Institute for the Blind.
Right.
We were able to garner some connections internally inside their higher management section. So we were able to really discuss stuff with their head of research, with their regional directors and so forth. And essentially we were able to get we were able to understand exactly our customer personas and go out and essentially target those customer personas through our own through our own marketing. And yeah, so that's overall how we got our first customers, since we are mostly hard tech focused and in such a niche market. Going through research institutions is probably the best way. So
what is the next goal for you looking forward?
For sure. So for EyeCane is for sure getting more traction, because at the end of the day, traction is what matters in any given startup. And then once we have a suitable enough of traction and we have growth that we are satisfied with, what we will need is additional capital. So we plan to raise our Series A sometime in June. And then same goes for Mitra Biotechnologies. Currently, we have all of our R&D on pause because due to COVID-19 pandemic, we can't access the university labs. However, they will be opening back up in June, so we can go, or most likely opening up back in June. So we will be able to do our research during that time and raise Mitra Biotechnology's first funding round. So,
what is one time you experienced a real fail moment? Just, everything went wrong. Did you fix it? Were you able to? Did you learn from it? What happened?
There's a certain moment in EyeCane's history, like in the initial, there were actually 2 big moments where it was pretty close to failing. So the first moment was around December of 2018, like January 2019, and during that time, essentially a lot of our teammates weren't putting in the work. They weren't as passionate, so we had to end up pretty much removing them from the team. And essentially we started off with 6, it went down to 4. And then subsequently went back up to 5, then 6, back again, and then back down to 3, and then back up to 6 again. So right now we're a team of 6 and we're quite stable. But overall, throughout the entire entrepreneurship process, one of the biggest things is like maintaining your team. Because at the end of the day, if your team doesn't work, like your startup, especially at the early stages, can collapse very quickly. And then a lot of solo work, solo teammate work, mostly working in pairs, has to be done. Especially if you're in a scenario where you don't exactly know which team members are going to stay there in the long term or which ones are probably going to quit after the first sign of trouble. That is where it's important to maintain a high work ethic as a whole. So.
What are 3 traits that you look for in a co-founder, business partner type of person?
So I would say the biggest 3 aspects for any business partners: 1, they have to be passionate, and 2, they have to have like a decent amount of technical knowledge in that area. Like I believe in principles-based approach. So an individual must have like a core technical understanding to truly innovate, because innovation happens at a very core technical understanding. So I believe the technicals matter. At the same time, creativity very much matters. So both that 50% of technical knowledge and 50% of creativity really come hand in hand together in a teammate. And the third is I just have to work with, like, I need to be able to work with that individual. I need to have fun working with them. And that's also a very key component in startups as a whole. Everybody is working quite a lot, and individuals need to stay motivated.
Could you name one advantage and one disadvantage of being such a young entrepreneur?
Advantage, overall, I would say it's easier to send cold emails to individuals, because it would spark their interest if you say that, oh, I'm 16 years old, I'm creating a startup. Let's say in terms of cold emails, it's always, if you're emailing like a venture capital firm or something like that, it's always good to not like state your age or anything like that, just to keep it hard, cold, and straight to the point. But when it comes to networking, it's quite beneficial to state your age. And so one disadvantage is here in Canada, you cannot incorporate a company unless you're the age of 18. So that's why that's why pretty much all of our startups are going to be US based, like incorporated in the US, because they have much less stricter laws when it comes to having a board member who is underneath the age of 18, and so forth. So yeah.
What is a tech tool that you just can't go without? Maybe an app or a website, something that you always use?
I would say Google. Without Google, you can't really go, you have all of the world's accessibility. Let it be textbooks or let it be YouTube. You have all the accessibility there is, especially like now due to COVID-19, you can't really actively go to libraries to borrow textbooks or anything like that. Right. So it's quite beneficial to go and just read textbooks online or read various websites and so forth. And YouTube is a great resource as well. So.
Which entrepreneurs inspire you the most these days? Who do you have your eye on?
I'll say when it comes to like business principles, it would probably be Warren Buffett, who inspires me a lot. Nice. And when it comes to work ethic, I would say it would be Bill Gates and Elon Musk, primarily because their work ethic is something that I truly agree with. And their principles of when it comes to like working is something that I really agree with. Like the fact that more than anything, you have to enjoy the process, you have to enjoy the hard work, and not just be there for like the end goal. You have to really enjoy the hard work that it takes to reach that end goal, and pretty much the fact that you have to have like internal drive. That's also a huge factor. I believe when it comes to figuring out your passion, something that internally drives you is probably going to be what your passion is. So,
which trait of yours do you feel is your weakest and you need to outsource it somehow with a coworker or maybe a tech platform?
So I would say, like when it comes to like there are various parts. Like I would say when it comes to development, mass production, we do need to outsource like our mass production resources and stuff like that. However, when it comes to generally like in terms of marketing and all of that, design work, like core design work, you need individuals who can think in terms of design very well, and just like general marketing very well. So I like majority of my teammates, they do the design aspect. So for example, if we were designing our LOIs and so forth, they're able to design like the core marketing materials. However, when it comes to design of our engineering design or design concepts, when it comes to the actual prototype, we're building it out, myself and our technical team do it quite well together. So I would say when it comes to just general mass marketing, is an area that I do need help from my teammates to do and accomplish, and my teammates do a fantastic job of doing that. So yeah.
What single piece of advice do you have to give to those who are listening and looking to be in your place?
Let's say it's to enjoy, to have a deep passion, and to enjoy the hard work. Like being excited about something is different than having like a passion for it, because excitement burns out the moment when you hit difficulties. Passion doesn't burn out if you hit difficulties.
If you could have any superpower in the world, what would you pick?
Glance at a page of textbook and just know it, like in and out,
Just
like instant photographic memory, just like brush up through a textbook and know everything in it. That would be my.
I don't feel like you're already there, but I can't
feel like
decide
you already
that.
do that, but I'm okay, whatever.
But okay, we're gonna let you slide with that one.
Thank you.
So Neil, it was so nice getting to know you a bit, and I know that we're gonna hear of great things that you'll do in the future. It really is. It's so cool what you're doing. I love it. And
Thank you.